Jeremiah chapter 27. Okay? And in this chapter, at the start of this chapter, we have a picture of yokes and bonds. Bonds and yokes. You might get a little bit confused through this part of the prophecy, because here in verse 1, in the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, came this word unto Jeremiah from the Lord. Okay, so Jehoiakim was the king, right? He lasted 11 years, from like 609 BC down to 597 BC thereabouts, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord. Okay, and he was big on, and he was the son of good King Josiah. But Jehoiakim was big on he liked to build stuff. He built himself a nice big home there, which the archaeologists have never found since. But anyway, so here we've got mention of Jehoiakim, okay? And then thus, of course, verse 2, thus saith the Lord to me, make thee bonds and yokes, and put them upon thy neck. Down in verse 3, we get Zedekiah mentioned, kind of in the same set of prophecies here. We don't need to get too all bent out of shape because they're mentioned together. Okay, but okay, he says, make thee, So sometime during Jehoiakim's reign, God told Jeremiah to do this, to build these bonds and yokes. Now, a yoke was a piece of wood, curved piece of wood. You put it, top part of it around the neck of an ox, and the bottom part around the bottom part of the neck. And you could fasten reins to the yoke. You could fasten a plow to this yoke. Okay, and they were tied together with bonds, string, whatever, rope, whatever they used to hook them together to get them to stay on the neck of the oxen. Okay, and then the oxen could pull the plow, and that's what he's referring to. He wants Jeremiah. God wants Jeremiah to fashion a set of yoke and bonds, put them around his neck, and to wear this yoke, okay? Which, depending on if he made it the same size and weight and out of the same wood that they would have put on an ox, okay, they were probably heavy and uncomfortable. And they would have to make it comfortable enough for the oxen, but still around, think about this around your neck, okay, and walking around with it, and preaching. God told Jeremiah, hey, go out and preach daily. And he's now wearing this thing, from whenever God told him to do it, put it on, put them on your neck, and he's going out there prophesying and telling what's going to happen. Now, during Jehoiakim's reign, this Jehoiakim is actually during part of the 70-year captivity. Remember, 70-year captivity started like in 605 BC. Jehoiakim started at 609, went to 597. So Jehoiakim was in business during the 70-year captivity. Okay? And so he's telling them, what's going to happen. What is King Nebuchadnezzar going to do? And pretty much death and destruction. Okay? And we've been over that. Death and destruction because of their sins. Okay? Now he says, come down to verse 3. He's got them, he's preaching. And send them, so this must be, this is going to be a little later, if you will, during King Zedekiah's reign. Okay? Probably right at the start. King Zedekiah, and go to my handy little, I like this book, Who's Who and Where's Where in the Bible. Okay. And Zedekiah, the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar made a bad decision when he replaced the 18-year-old king of Judah with 21-year-old Zedekiah. 18-year-old, that would be Jehoiachin, okay, was replaced by Zedekiah. Nebuchadnezzar wanted a servant king who would pay taxes. But when rebellion broke out later in Babylon, okay, Zedekiah was actually in, anyway, yeah, he rebelled against Nebuchadnezzar. He didn't want to pay the taxes. Zedekiah saw his chance to declare independence. He wanted to break away from the captivity. And, of course, Nebuchadnezzar, weary of repeated Jewish revolts, they did that, okay? They tried, weary of that. That's in 586 BC. That's when Nebuchadnezzar moved in, wiped Judah off the map. Babylonians broke through Jerusalem's walls. Zedekiah and his armies ran for their lives. The army of Babylon caught him and forced him to watch his sons die. And it was the last thing the king saw was his sons dying. Soldiers blinded him, okay, and led him into exile with the other survivors. So, but now, here, this is one of those times, okay, Jeremiah goes to Zedekiah and takes that yoke and those bonds and tells Zedekiah to send those yokes and bonds around to send them to the king of Edom and to the king of Moab, the surrounding countries right there, and to the king of the Ammonites, and to the king of Tyrus, and to the king of Zidon, by the hand of the messengers which come to Jerusalem unto Zedekiah, king of Judah. Okay? So these other kings sent messengers to Zedekiah, and this yoke and bond, God tells Jeremiah to give them to the king, and then to send them with, the thought here would be that he made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of yokes and bonds. Send them to those kings by these messengers to let those kings know what is going to happen to them, okay, because of, if you will, their support of these, rebellions against Nebuchadnezzar. Okay? And so send them around and command them to say unto their masters, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, thus shall ye say unto your masters. Okay, Jeremiah gives Zedekiah the message, and Zedekiah is supposed to give that message along with these yokes and bonds and take them back to their kings, these messengers, take them back to their kings and give them that message. Okay? And here's what you're going to say, verse 5. I have made the earth, the man and the beast that are upon the ground, by my great power and by my outstretched arm, and have given it unto whom it seemed meet to me. Okay? Here's creation right here. I made it, God made it, okay? And he gave the land to, whoever. Now, remember, God calls Nebuchadnezzar his servant. Remember, back in chapter 26, God called him his servant. And I'll give it to whoever I want to give it. Okay? We have the good old USA here, and God gave it to, he gave it to the original Native Americans, but then he gave it to us, and whatever we do with it, okay, and he gave any land. Remember, of course, all those, over all the years, all these conquerors, Babylon, the Medes and the Persians under Xerxes, all those guys, you name it, okay, all those emperors that wanted to rule the world, he gave them, the ability to do that, and whom it seemed meet unto me, okay? Whom it seemed good to me, to God. And now I given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar. Okay? Remember, this period of time, they Israel is in, under the captivity. There's still, people in Jerusalem. Jerusalem is still standing right now at this time. And there are still people in Judah and Jerusalem. They are under the bonds of Nebuchadnezzar. Okay? And here's this phrase. I have given these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant. Okay? God picked him for a purpose. And that purpose was to judgment upon Israel. And the beasts of the field have I given him also to serve him. Okay? The land is his, the cattle are his, the people are his. Okay? Even though you guys, you other kings, along with Zedekiah, you want to come up and fight against me, you're gonna lose. Okay? God's gonna win. And it doesn't matter even today, okay? We've got all this going on over in Israel today. Well, here we've got all the Hamas and Hezbollah and all those guys over there, if you will, rebelling against Israel, okay? But, okay, you got to think about it. God is going to win. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he had a wreck in his helicopter. Yeah. But God's going to win. And even in this case, even he's going to win through the captivity. Even though, the people of Israel are going to suffer under slavery, under death and slavery and destruction of the temple, Jerusalem, destruction of Jerusalem. God's going to win. And all the nations shall serve him and his son, okay, and his son's sons, okay, Nebuchadnezzar, his son, his son was what, guy named Evil Merodach, and of course his grandson was Belteshazzar, the one that had the party on his last day in office. the, these nations up here, Edom, Moab, Ammon, Tyrus, king of Sidon, they're not going to last. Okay, the Babylonian Empire is not going to last. It lasts about the length of the 70-year captivity, and then, Persians take over, Xerxes takes over, and of course, any Bible trivia, okay? Who is Xerxes in the Bible? He has a Bible name, Ahasuerus, the husband of the king of Persia, who marries Esther. Okay. But yeah, same guy. And of course, he's, Xerxes, he's the same guy that came in and conquered the Greeks and burned Athens and all that sort of stuff. But the Babylonian Empire isn't going to last. The Persian Empire isn't going to last. The Greek Empire isn't going to last. The Roman Empire isn't going to last. Okay, the Nazi German Empire is not going to last. Okay, our wonderful friend over there in Russia, he's not going to last. Okay, and the Soviet Union didn't last. We actually won the Cold War. We beat them, and but now we've got Putin, who wants to get his empire back. Okay, it's not going to work out. Anyway, so all the nations shall serve him, and his son, and his son's son, until the very time of his land come, and then many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of him. Okay? All these other nations, their time's going to come. That yoke is going to be put around your neck, and death and destruction, and those great kings, and those Edom, Moab, all those kings, they're gonna serve Nebuchadnezzar, his servant. I better